Hi, I'm Robbin Miller, host of Miller Chat. Today, I'm honored to have two guests who've been on for the last almost 19 years.
Wow.
Joe Bellil, Vice President of Public Affairs and Youth Services at Easter Seals, and Mike Kennedy, Advocacy Coordinator, ADA Coordinator at Center for Living and Working. Welcome.
Great to be here.
Great to be here. Our yearly update, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So time goes fast.
Sure does. Wow, 19 years.
It'll be 20 in May. I'm trying to plan something.
Something big?
Not that big. It's, you know, it can get costly, but something. And then I may do another show. I'm asking EJ, who's going to be 10, and maybe to do something. But he wants to do superheroes. So I don't know how many people would be interested in superheroes, but we can talk about that.
Captain Marvel's coming.
Maybe that, or Legos. Maybe.
Wow.
Time goes quick. So welcome back. So what's up?
So we were going to talk about a little bit about encouraging people to register to vote.
Okay.
That's something that's been out there statewide, and this it's called the Rev Up, encouraging people with disabilities especially to go out and vote. Well, to register first and then go to vote. And we just want to make sure people know that you have until October 17th, it's a Wednesday, to register for the November 6th election. So again, October 17th. And it's really easy to do it too. You can do it online. You can go down to your town hall and do it.
Yep, and a lot of us social service agencies have registration forms there as well.
Yep.
And yes, October 17th, very good date to know because the primaries just happened on September 3rd. So, so knowing that you still have time, I mean, voting is important anyways. Not only are you electing, government, state government, but there are also referendum questions on there of interest.
Is it two? The one is the safe thing with the nurses.
Yep, I know that's question one.
And number two is something with transgender. I think they're still getting votes for that one. And the other one, they voted down to tax the top 1% or 2%. I think the court said.
Oh, okay, the millionaire's tax?
Yeah, and actually in my class I asked about it. They said, no, we can't do that in Massachusetts. I don't know if other states tax. No, they voted that down. So number one is definitely the safe, whatever, limiting, whatever, safe something. And number two, I think it's the transgender rights. Have you seen that? I don't know if they're still trying to get, I don't know, but I think it's two. I don't know, I know one, definitely.
I know that if you go on the Secretary of State's webpage, that actually you can see a copy of your ballot.
Oh, okay.
That's what I usually do before, just so I can take a look at it and read it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Only especially. I mean, you know how Joe was talking about Rev Up. What the Rev actually stands for is first register, like we're talking about, but the E is for educate, and that's really educating yourself on who these candidates are that are for voting, and what the if there are referendum questions, then what does yes mean? What does no mean?
Right. And even if they vote like with marijuana, that's still causing issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they say yes, this, like one of them in Worcester, there was some ingredient issue, and they were holding that up because they found something with one of the ingredients. So, yes, still vote.
So they
we encourage people to still vote no matter what.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, as slow as came into fruition, it is happening out there. But yeah, but that has nothing to do with the voting. That's really comes down to the regulations, the
Yes.
state government, or
Yep.
federal government. There's, whether or not it's good is one's personal opinion, but the one thing I think we can all agree on is that it's not fast.
No, it's molasses, very slow. But people with disabilities and elders and caregivers, they have a stake in question one because of the Safe Staffing Act. Because they have, 11 to 7, they only have one person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I experienced myself when I had a hysterectomy in 2013. I was at one of the hospitals. It was 3:30, and the stupid alarm goes off. When the IV, it goes off, and because I'm in pain and all that, but because I'm young, mature young, and I have my full deck, I knew the person wasn't going to come. It took them 20 minutes to come.
Wow.
I got so upset, I was just ready to take it out and say, I know this is an issue. The alarm's going off, and there's only one person on the whole floor. And I'm like, what would happen if somebody really had an emergency, or you're going to have two people have an emergency? You know about the issue, I know about, but your average person would be like, what is going on here?
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah. The thing about when you talk about the education part, I'm not sure. I definitely have my opinions, and it's definitely I'm a very big appreciator of nurses.
Yep.
And staff, like that. But I want to make sure I really read up and understand what the ballot is. What does yes mean? Because you know what? I've seen just on TV ads, and these are the worst ones to try to base anything on. Both of them, yes and no, have featured nurses. So now what? So that's why it's first vote, but yeah, educate. Be an educated voter.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I haven't seen much within the disability community regarding that question. I haven't seen too many people on
Not
either
yet.
side of it. Not yet, right? Maybe coming and things like that. But you're right. That's the education is so important of it. Also, the other piece of voting is just, the more different communities vote, people with disabilities, women, men, whatever. It gives more power to that community, more respect. Legislators, I think, listen more. Knowing that that communities are out there voting, and also will ask the community about certain bills and things like that before. So I think it's really important, especially since people with disabilities saying, hey, we want more accessibility, we want more of this, and housing and transportation. It's important to be out there and just voting, even if and spending the time to know what's going on.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So,
especially, and just if I could just dovetail what Joe's saying, this is especially applies to local, the local elections. If you're in a town, then it's the board of the select board. Typically a city would be the city council. These are the decision makers that are going to affect your day-to-day life in the community that you live in.
Well, these are the midterm elections.
What's that?
Midterm, federal.
Yep.
Senator.
But the governor,
Yep.
Yeah.
the governor's there,
He's
and
been quiet so far. Well, he's busy.
senator.
Right, Senator, right?
Yes.
State rep.
So right.
Yeah. But in your local elections, usually, they're all out there. The candidates, so have them see you go in and casting your vote, and let them see it. Let them know you're there, because you know what, the act of voting and being visible may influence decisions that they make.
And you actually went to some of the sites, right?
That's
Both
right.
polling places to check on accessibility.
Yes.
It's really important.
Oh yeah, because there's it doesn't require huge amounts of accessibility, but at least have the basics, have it so a person with a disability can enter the building themselves and cast a vote in private, unassisted, you know, if that's their request.
Yeah, I think that's good. Well, the dovetail, obviously you got to have transportation.
Transportation's a real...
It's an age-old problem. Well, we've been talking about this for years now.
It's one of the key problems with, you know, finding employment for people with disabilities and people in general, right? And transportation's changing. You know, it's we're trying to keep up there. So there are a lot of different activities going on in things in you know, in and around Worcester that you know, are impacting people with disabilities. And so one of the things that happened recently was that there were a couple groups that started transportation advocacy groups, kind of targeting toward future, you know, strategic planning and things like that. ECCL's working with like Center for Living and Working and Elder Services and UInc and a couple other entities, the WRTA and the regional planning, worked together and got a grant.
Oh, good.
And a small grant, but it's a planning grant. Basically, it encourages people with disabilities, older adults, and their caregivers to be active in the planning process for transportation in and around the area.
It affects them.
Absolutely. I mean, I've learned a lot. We've been going to a lot of transportation meetings, you know, supporting the different groups, and I think things are pretty good around the Worcester area in having people being able to give their input into the process. It could be better. The different stages, and so that's something that we're pushing with this grant, and we're hoping to do some different surveys out there. For example, one of the interests that I'm working with a group on is having more on-demand services. On-demand, I call it the AAA, the more on-demand, accessible, affordable, and available transportation services.
It's like Uber.
Exactly. And Uber's a perfect case, okay? So Uber has done, last year, 900,000 trips in the city of Worcester, in and around Worcester. And we know that because the city of Worcester got a little check for 85,000.
I believe
For
so,
what?
yeah.
There's a fee that's attached. I didn't really know that.
Oh.
With trips. And so the city gets a little bit, and I think the state gets a little bit, you know, from these kind of trips. Not just Uber, I think Lyft as well. And Lyft is in Worcester as well. But there were total, like, on-demand trips, 900,000 in Worcester, which is a fair amount. Boston had, like, couple million, I mean, 20 million or something. So, so we were looking at that because we don't know of any accessible vehicles right now, wheelchair accessible vehicles.
I don't. Does Uber have to?
So one of the things that we did was we reached out to Uber and had one of the representatives come to some of the meetings.
Oh,
and also worked with, in talking with WRTA and things like that, because what we're kind of using an example is in Boston, there's a pilot program going on with Uber, Lyft, and the ride and the MBTA, where they're offering on-demand trips for people who are paratransit users, ADA eligible individuals. So they can choose to either go paratransit or they can use Uber. So if they get to use Uber, that they use the app and they pay a lower rate.
That would be great.
Oh, absolutely, and people love it.
And do you have a handicap accessible Uber rides?
Yes, and what Uber did was lease accessible vehicles.
Oh.
And some of our conversations with Uber's been, you know, I would say, willing to work with us.
Oh, yeah.
When
Of course, it's revenue.
Yeah,
Revenue
it is,
potential.
and
Yeah,
it's also important for the
Yeah,
community.
he's been to at least, how many in person?
At least 3 or 4 meetings in person and then on the phone.
It's not the owner or the founder.
No, but it's the person that's now either overseeing or monitoring the Boston pilot, which is who we want. So familiar with the paratransit services going on with the MBTA is here. And we're talking to them because, well, for a number of reasons. One, we want to see it here.
Of course.
And the other is that we were very concerned this year when the WRTA and all the regional transit authorities were worried about the cuts.
Oh.
You know, they didn't get what they expected, and so there was a big push. I mean, they were talking about stopping public transportation on weekends.
I heard that, yeah.
I mean, Saturday and Sunday. And again, we're talking about what really hurt are folks with, I would say, you know, lower income, A lot of people with
Yes.
disabilities are lower income. And I mean, and if you take away accessible transportation from people, who need it on the weekends, I mean, that means that they don't go to church, they don't get to go other
Right.
activities,
Socialize.
go downtown, socialize, go food shopping, I mean, and go to work too. And so very concerning, and there are no other options. I mean, there's 1 or 2 accessible cabs, I think,
Yeah, there
in
is.
Worcester. Depending if, I know there's been some mechanical issues.
If they're available. That's why the third A, Robin, the affordable, accessible, and available, because without mentioning names, we at a Red Group meeting, Rights, Equality, Dignity for the Disabled, was it in maybe in August? One of the meeting attendees, inquired to see if there was any accessible cabs available. And this was what time? Like, say, 4:30 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
No.
2. I just know 2.
No.
No.
So, from what we understand, I don't take cabs on a regular basis, but I have. They're available 24/7.
The ones now, right?
Well, no, it just the cabs that are out there right now in the city.
Oh, okay. Okay, but it would be nice if Uber had some in the city too.
Yeah.
Uber, Lyft, whoever, right. Again, we're not pushing any particular entity, but absolutely, we want to, that's why we want it. Worcester's the second largest city, I mean, it's growing. I see a lot of really, a lot of business going on downtown now, and even after 5 o'clock now, surprisingly, in Worcester.
Well, good, and the Wool Sox too.
Absolutely, right, in 2 years. And so we really need to plan for the future. Worcester's doing, I think it's called a cityscape or something. They're changing the downtown. Eventually, it's just going to be 1 lane on either side. So, there's a lot of things happening transportation-wise, and we need to make sure people with disabilities are part of the process, and elders.
Well, but the other side always said we don't see them.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Right.
We don't see them. Where are they?
Yeah, they're 20% of the population.
That's
And not everyone who uses a wheelchair, and that's a lot of hidden disabilities, but their population's getting older, and people see it when somebody gets injured, with a temporary disability or temporary broken leg or something like that. I mean, it's just really important for us to think ahead, before you make major changes. And so if we can, one of the goals within this committee that we're working on with the AAA On Demand is to get more accessible vehicles. And we don't care if it's a red cab or a yellow cab or Uber or Lyft. We want more accessible vehicles in the Worcester area because that will give more opportunities for people to utilize them.
Yeah.
If you have a parent who uses who needs mobility or whatever, they're going to be able to use that. Right now, there's not enough out there.
And there's no somebody who wants to do this business?
We've been told, there's different meetings, and we talked to some of the folks from the cab industry. They're saying that it really costs twice as much.
Oh.
And it makes sense, I think, and they don't see a huge demand. Again, a lot of folks, I mean, we know that the people with disabilities, a good portion are lower income. And taking a cab is not the cheapest thing.
No, it's
I've
not.
taken cabs and others, and
Right.
That's why people like Uber, right? Because it's cheaper than cabs, and
Yeah, they can afford to be cheaper, yeah.
they can, right? And so, wouldn't it be great if we could have an affordable way of doing this? And the next step is there a way that we could help do this? Could we do a pilot with WRTA and things like that? Is there a way that we could work with the different entities that do on-demand services, including cabs, and think of ways to meet the needs of people with disabilities in the community, and at the same time make it more affordable. Getting more people out there for doing business and everything else.
Sounds like a good civics project.
Yeah.
Yeah, good advocacy project.
A good advocacy project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say, just with the Boston pilot, I mean, so the MBTA makes some money, the Uber and the Lyft make some money. and the end user, the passengers, get a saving. So it's a triple win situation.
A win-win. I think that would be great. And of course, housing involved, because people who live need transportation to go to work, right? The work to welfare program and everything else, right? Transportation is important across the board for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right, and then again, if you increase the transportation options and everything else, people, maybe living more in the suburbs or whatever else, or from the suburbs want to come in to maybe a ball game or whatever, and they need that kind of transportation. So
I think it's important. So can we talk a little bit about dovetail into housing?
sure.
So any update? I know they talked about Section 8 vouchers for non-elderly non-elderly for people
Well,
with disabilities.
you're talking about the alternative housing voucher program.
Oh, yes.
Yep. There was tremendous advocacy efforts again this year, and they did. There was a increase, I believe, maybe $1.5 million.
I read that. Did they get it passed?
Yep. It was signed.
Good.
But another big change that happened. I'm sure it doesn't help the number of vouchers, but the people who do have these vouchers really benefit is the actual value of the subsidy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Rents are going up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know people who have it, and they just can't pay $1,500. I mean, they pay 30%, but they have to pay a little more, too.
Right. But those vouchers, Robin, are only worth so much.
Right,
So
30% or whatever it
we'll
is.
just say, just for the sake of conversation, we'll just say they were worth $750. But if it costs, say, $1,200 to for a one-bedroom apartment in Worcester, oh, you're still going to come up with the other $500.
I've seen that.
So now those subsidies have increased to be reflect more of the market value of that region. So I mean, a voucher in Boston is going to be need to be more than, say, a voucher out in let's see, Coleraine, Mass, or something like that.
So are they giving out? Are they down by town? Or are they down? I remember, being in the agency, giving them out.
It's the market area. However big the municipal market area is.
Oh, so has Worcester gotten any yet, or is it?
To our knowledge, they've increased, and there was an increase.
Mm-hmm.
How many more vouchers comes of the increase? Probably not a ton of them, but at least the vouchers that are out there are worth something.
Good. Yeah, because a lot of people give them back.
Yeah, and of course, these mobile vouchers are very coveted because if you can find places that you can afford, it will give you more options on where you want to live.
Yeah. I mean, they still have to go through the rules. They have to inspect the apartment, and they have to follow
Oh,
X,
yeah,
Y,
of course.
and Z. I think that'd be great because it's desperately needed. Desperately needed.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. I mean, a lot of trends are happening just because of the price of housing. I mean, all those luxury apartments in downtown Worcester.
Aren't they half empty?
Actually, the last I read, they were actually filling up pretty good.
On that part, but certain parts, like Shrewsbury has there by Whole Foods, that's not full. It's half empty.
I think it
But
takes a little time,
it's still
but
young too.
yeah.
Yeah, but I know they give out vouchers for that. I remember there was a certain percent of people can get vouchers and live there, but they went for like $1,300. So
Yeah,
it would be good.
Yeah, so I mean, probably a lot of those tenants actually work in Boston,
Yeah,
but
get
can't
the
afford to
train.
live out there. So for them, $1,500 or whatever it is a month for downtown Worcester. I mean, you just cross a couple streets and there's Union Station.
Right, and they have the building right by Union Station.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably going to fill up quickly.
Yeah, well, I think the what do they call it, the Edgemere?
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of that is college for college population, and I believe the minor league Worcester's minor league hockey team also has their players
really?
stay there. Yeah,
Why not? It's right nearby.
yeah, because really you can. You could walk right down to where the rinks are, the practice rinks are on
right.
Harding Street.
Good idea. Wow, so we have a couple of minutes. So what else is on the horizon? We talked about voting, we talked about transportation, we talked about the ballot one question.
Employment.
Employment. Oh yes, how's that
Oh,
go?
it's always a push.
Oh yeah.
So our state is doing something innovative. There's an RFI right now, a request for information, and they're looking to do a pilot focusing on the state contractors, like
Okay.
different organizations like East Sales, for example. We contract with the state at CLW. Some of the colleges contract with the state, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're looking to do a pilot with an entity to work on hiring more people with disabilities.
Oh, good.
Under the state contractor. So that's something that I'm working with a group that's pushing that. We're also, so we hope that, because there's thousands of contractors in the state.
Yeah.
So if they all kind of work on a hiring goal of trying to hire more people with disabilities, understand the Americans with Disabilities Act, accommodations and things like that,
Right.
I think it will help move things forward. We're also working to push the state to hire more state employees who have disabilities,
Yeah.
and to do a hiring effort that way. Maybe work with some of the vocational rehab entities, Mass Commission for the Blind, Mass Rehab Commission, the Department of DDS.
Oh, developmental service things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the unemployment rate for people with disabilities seeking work is still over twice as high
Right. And
as the non-disabled peers.
And you see them reports that things are getting better because it's getting better for everybody.
Right.
It's still, I mean, basically only 30% of people with disabilities are working, and we need that to go more. And with all the types of jobs and the assistive technology that's out there,
Oh, absolutely.
it should work.
Attitude.
It is.
Stigma.
It is. You're right. It is. It's a whole. The community needs to almost change its attitude toward people with disabilities working. And I don't mean just folks using wheelchairs. I'm talking about hidden disabilities as well.
Which they're up and coming,
Absolutely.
right?
It's a strong
Autism.
labor pool out there.
Yeah, and yeah.
It's good. It's good for the person to work. Gives a better quality of life, and
Yeah.
and then again, we have some more taxpayers out there, right? So we can get more services.
Yep.
Well, let them reach their fullest potential.
Right. And plus, there's that social aspect of working. I mean, besides being able to support yourself, it's a place where you're going to meet and have lifetime friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's it's good to know people when you're out and about.
Yeah. You get to see another part of yourself that you're not used to seeing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Networking, meeting different people, socializing. Right. Add to
good.
that quality of life.
As opposed to doing this all day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have less than 20 seconds, so how can people contact you? Mike?
My phone number at Center for Living and Working is 508-755-1401.
Mine at East Sales is 508-751-6340.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike Kennedy from Center for Living and Working, and
Oh,
Joe
my
Bellil
pleasure.
from Easter Field for coming on.
Thank you, Robin. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Great to have you.